Hello, guys. This is Lakan, and let's talk about politics. So, guys, what happens now? Starmer has resigned, and how quickly could the new PM be in the number 10? Labour must choose his successor, but will it be a coronation or a contest? So, Sir Keir Starmer has resigned as a Labour leader, triggering a succession process that could hand the new Makerfield MP Andy Burnham the keys to number 10 within the weeks. In an emotional statement outside the Downing Street, Starmer said he had accepted the verdict of his MPs that he was no longer the right person to lead the party into the next election. He said, I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that the answer with the good grace, he said. He also confirmed that he had spoken to the king to inform him of his decision. It came days after Burnham's decisive victory in the Makerfield by election, which handed the former Greater Manchester mayor a Commons seat and the ability to mount a leadership bid. Now, pressure had been building since Labour's heavy losses at the May local elections, after which over hundreds of the party's MP publicly called on Stammer to go. Now, he also faced the resignations from within his own cabinet that was steering quit as a health secretary last month to position himself for a leadership challenge, while John Healey resigned as a defense secretary over the government's defense funding settlement. Now, Starmer said he would remain in post until a successor is chosen. He has asked the Labour's National Executive Committee to open nominations on the 9th of July and also complete the process before the summer recess, meaning a new prime minister could take over in mid of July if Barham is unopposed or by the end of the August if there is a contest. Now, the central question remains is whether the Labour holds a contest at all or whether the party coalesces around Burnham in an unopposed coronation. So, what happens now? Starmer has gone. A successor must be chosen from within the Labour Party under the rules set out in Chapter 4 of the party's rulebook. First of all, any candidate must secure the nominations from 20% of the Labour's MPs, currently 81, based on the party's 403 seats. And only sitting MPs can attend it, which is why the obstacle facing Barab until last week was that he did not hold a Commons seat. Candidates also win the backing of either 5% of the constituency Labour parties or at least three organizations affiliated to Labour whose combined membership is at least 5% of the affiliated membership. Now, two of these organizations must be trade unions. And crucially, each MP can nominate only one candidate and cannot switch their backing to another unless their first choice drops out. That limits how many contenders can realistically clear the 81 MPs threshold. So, it is this rule that makes a so called coronation possible. If enough MPs commit to Burnham's early, there may not be enough left over to put a rival on the ballot. So, could Burnham be crowned without a contest? If only one candidate clears both the hurdles, they are elected unopposed and become the Labour leader and prime minister without a ballot of the wider membership. So, guys, this is the outcome Burnham's allies have been pushing for. Burnham's supporting MPs have been canvassing colleagues to swing behind him quickly to avoid a drawn out campaign. And under Starmer's proposed timetable, an unopposed Burnham could take over in the middle of next month. There is recent precedent for handover without a contest. In 2007, Gordon Brown was the only candidate to receive enough nominations to replace Tony Blair and took over after a short transition. So the main obstacle to a clean coronation had been Streeting, who maintained he intends to stand. However, shortly after Stammer announced his resignation, the Ilford North MP issued a statement offering his support to Barrack to become the next Labour leader and Prime Minister. He also said Burnham is committed to building an inclusive party that draws on the best of our political traditions, adding that he can win the fight of our lives against the forces of nationalism. So we could spend the summer exaggerating small differences, or we can roll up our sleeves and help them to deliver the change our party and our country needs. So, guys, that is the choice that I am making, and I hope that everyone else will back ND2, he said. What happens if there is a contest? If more than one candidate clears both the thresholds, the choice goes to a ballot of non-labor members, affiliated trade unions, and registered supporters. Voters rank candidates in order of the preferences. Anyone who falls to win more than 50% in the first round sees the lowest placed candidate eliminated and their second preferences redistributed, with the process repeating until one contender passes the threshold. A contest would take longer than a coronation, but Starmer has said a new leader would still be in place before Parliament returns on 1 September, meaning a contested race would conclude by the end of the August. The party's last leadership contest in 2020 ran for around 3 months, with nominations opening in early January and the result announced in early April. The timetable is set by the NEC, which also decides the eligibility rules. In 2016, when the MPs attempted to remove Jeremy Corbyn, it barred members who had joined within these previous 6 months from voting. A Labour spokesperson said, following the Prime Minister's announcement today that he intends to resign as a leader of the Labour Party, Labour's ruling body, the National Executive Committee, will shortly agree a timetable for the election of the next leader of the Labour Party. And further details of the leadership election will be communicated in due course. Who else could stand? Behind Burnham, several names have been floated as a potential candidates. However, many have either ruled themselves out or are unlikely to get the required support to get on the ballot. West Stating said the former health secretary previously committed to challenging Burnham, having quit the cabinet last month, criticizing the government's thrift and lack of vision. However, shortly after Stammer resigned on Monday, Streeting announced that he was backing Burnham for leader. Second candidate Angela Rayner, the former deputy prime minister, has signaled she would back Burnham rather than standing itself, making an open challenge unlikely. Third is Edie Miliband. The energy secretary and former labor leader has ruled himself out, and allies told the Times intends to act as a kingmaker for Burnham. He topped the favorability rankings among party members at plus 65 in Survation polling for Labourists in April 2026. Also, John Healey, the former defense secretary who resigned over dismissal defense funding, is well regarded within the party and has been touted as a possible contender. Next is AI Khan's, the former armed forces minister who resigned soon after Haley quit this month, has been floated as a potential contender. And the socialist campaign group, Labour's Left, has been reported to be weighing whether to find a candidate to broaden the debate, though no name has been confirmed yet. What about a general election? Whoever replaced Stammer calls for a snap general election are likely to grow, since no new Labour leader will have sought a direct mandate from the voters. There is no constitutional requirement from one. Conservative shadow Northern Ireland Secretary Alex Burgat told BBC Radio's 4 Today program that constitutionally there doesn't have to be a general election, adding that you can change the prime minister. The pressure is not confined to the opposition. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, whose party holds a clear lead in the polls, has demanded an election. In a Substack essay, Farage criticized Burnham and said the UK could not afford to waste another week drifting from crisis to crisis. To men like Burnham, democracy is only a means to an end and to be discarded as soon as it is inconvenient for his personal ambitions. So, guys, that is not what I stand for, he's also added, and it's not like a kind of politics I could ever support. That is why we must have a general election at the earliest possible opportunity. Some Labour MPs share this concern. Mike Trapp, a Home Office minister, has argued that a leader forced out by their own party should have to go to the polls, warning that a seventh prime minister in 10 years, yes, would be unsustainable. Writing on social media, TAP called for legislation to stop the constant churn and focus all politicians on the delivery. The next election is not required until August 2029. The Labour Party MPs had been discontent over a popularity decline since Starmer took the office following a landslide victory in July 2024. So, guys, that was the whole story and the main analysis from my side. Do let me know what are your thoughts and feedback on this video. And I will see you guys in the next video. And if you like this video, kindly give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel for such amazing daily updates. Thank you.